All right. I believe I am live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this impromptu. I also knocked my water bottle over. Impromptu short shifts episode. Keeping Carlson with just myself, Elan Dubrovsky. This isn't even the show. This is just saying hello to the people in the chat. So what's up? Andy. It's with an F, Dubrovsky. But it's okay. I still really appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah, we're definitely gonna talk about Amadio. Okay, I'm gonna take a quick drink. We're gonna see how this goes. I guess I could have taken the drink before I pressed the button to go live. I'm used to having another person here to bounce off of. So this is a experiment for all of us. So yeah, I'm just gonna dive into it. But I really appreciate some of you joining me here in the chat. Keep me on track. Definitely feel free to throw me any questions, players you want me to tackle. I have a list here, but I could go off script, of course. Was it full screen Elan? Okay, enjoy. You can see this room I've been hanging out in. I should probably at some point set up some sort of, I don't know, background. I really need to up my game here. I gotta get John Reed to just come and tell me how to make this better. Okay. No, this is gonna be a short. It's got to be short shift, right, Joe? I have no one even to ask questions, so I'm just gonna say stuff. I can't talk forever. Anyhow, let's do this. I like how Norm's wrote a Wednesday stream scheme, but it's actually a Tuesday short shift. It's all the same. Okay. Oh, actually, I have to start recording this. Would be useful. Okay. Recording here. Let's do a backup recording on the Zoom here. Okay. Now this is definitely recording. What's up, champs? Welcome to a special edition of the Keeping Carlson Short Shifts Fantasy Hockey Podcast. My name is Elan Dubrovsky. Normally, of course, Short Shifts is hosted by Ben and Lewis, but they're on a well-deserved holiday vacation. But I was just sitting here thinking I have so much to talk about in fantasy. I did that great show with Shams and the Fantasy Hockey Life guys over the weekend, Victor and Jesse, and we dropped some takes there, but I didn't do a normal show. And then if there's not going to be any short shifts this week, it's by the time Sunday comes, if I don't open the nozzle and let some of this pressure out, the show would be 5 hours long on Sunday. So I figured I'd empty the tank, give you all the takes on everything that's been going on over the past few days. I'm not gonna have anyone to throw it. This is my first ever solo episode of the podcast, so we'll see how this goes. Dave does it all the time on Stream Scheme, and it goes well for him. So why can't I do it for short shifts, right? So we're gonna give this a try. It's an experiment. Hope you like it. And yeah, let's just dive into some of the fantasy news. I'm recording this late on Tuesday. I wanted to wait to get those Tuesday games and most of the games are completed. Of course, LA versus Vegas just started. They're done the first period now. So I think we have enough data to get going. But I want to start over in Washington, okay? Obviously, all the podcasts I've been talking a lot about Ovechkin over the past little while, but there are other players on this team, including a very significant player in John Carlson, who is injured. He's out indefinitely. Wishing him the best. With him hurt, though, our friend Eric Gustafsson, a guy who you may remember from a breakout season with Chicago a few years back, and then he sort of moved around the league. Then the next year he was a huge bust, right? Everyone was drafting him hoping he'd get 60 points again on the top power play on Chicago, and then he ended up getting healthy scratched in some games. It was a disaster. And then he's gone around the league. He's gone to, where has he gone to? Calgary, Philly, Montreal. He even went back to Chicago last year. But now he's on Washington. And with John Carlson out, Eric Gustafsson has taken over as the quarterback of the top power play. And even before he took that job, he was already on a bit of a run. He had 3 assists against Toronto in a game last. Sorry, let me edit. All right, I'm doing edit points here. He didn't have 3 assists, he had 3 goals. Before Carlson got injured, Gustafsson had 3 goals versus Toronto, a hat trick, a couple weeks back now, back on December 17th, followed that up with a goal and assist game versus Detroit. Then this is around the time when Carlson got injured. So Gustafsson got on the top power play, had himself an assist versus Ottawa, an assist versus Winnipeg, and now today versus the Rangers, a goal and an assist for Eric Gustafsson, including that assist was on the power play. So this guy is on fire right now. I'm counting 9 points in his last 5 games. This is someone that I think you want on your fantasy team. He's only like 32, 33% rostered on Yahoo last time I checked. And if Gustafsson is available in your league and you need defense, or even if you don't need defense, someone in your league is going to need defense, right? So I would definitely go ahead and add Eric Gustafsson ASAP, because a top power play quarterback is not easy to find, especially, and sometimes, or if it is, it's someone like on Anaheim, like Cam Fowler, who's not really doing much, but Gustafsson's playing with top end guys. He's hot, and who knows how long John Carlson will be out. So this is definitely something you want to jump onto. Let's also mention quickly, in this game today, the Caps shut out the New York Rangers, and it was Darcy Kemper in net. So a nice game for him, right? Because a lot of people were starting to ask about is Charlie Lindgren going to start challenging for the starter's job, because he did so well with Kemper injured. So this is like a good statement game for Kemper to be like, look, I'm still the starter here. And he made 32 saves. So yeah, I still don't think that like Charlie Lindgren's nothing, but definitely you could probably drop him, right? Like unless you're in a league where you need really like every goalie's rostered, like maybe at best, I think it could be like 2/3 of the starts for Kemper and 1/3 for Lindgren, maybe even 60-40, but really, why would you keep Charlie Lindgren even for 40% of the starts? Kemper is the starter. You know, it was worth it to hold Lindgren just in case Kemper struggled, maybe wasn't fully recovered, but at this point now we can see, yeah, we're good to assume that Kemper is the starter and is going to do well. But thanks for all the points, Charlie Lindgren. And I guess one last thing I'll mention over here on Washington, I guess this is what makes my shifts long shifts. How about Evgeny Kuznetsov? He had that slow start to the season and was definitely not looking like the revelation that he had been last year. But all of a sudden, Kuznetsov with his assist today brought him to 4 points in his last 3 games. That's a short way to say it. But also overall, he's up to now 29 points in 36 games on the season. He's just been hitting the score sheet a lot lately. So now he's pacing for 66. Last year, he was point per game. There's still time, right? And I know that Nicholas Backstrom is coming back, but come on, we all know that Backstrom, if he's going to bump someone from the top 6, it's going to be Dylan Strome. And Kuznetsov hasn't even been playing with Ovechkin, so it's not as if he's been having like this amazing deployment. But yeah, he's really picked it up lately. He had 4 shots today also. So good job on him. And okay, that's my Washington talk. Let's go to the next bit of news here. Another injury to a defenseman. That's Torrey Krug over in St. Louis. This was a big surprise, right? Like I woke up this morning assuming that there was nothing wrong in Krug land. And then, you know, we didn't get, any notification that there was any injury or something that happened last game. But apparently he did get hurt in St. Louis's last game. And he's not only just injured day to day, he's not only injured like on the IR, he's LTIR. He's going to be gone a while. So that really stinks. He was actually on a bit of a hot streak after a slow start to the year himself. So, all right, stash Torrey Krug on your IRs. And if you're like me, I have Torrey Krug in the couple, and I decided to just stash him. And right away, I added his teammate, Colton Parayko. I figured Parayko's out there. He's actually going into today. He was coming off a couple of games where he had points last week. I actually had him for the week before and I dropped him. Then I was kind of regretting it because I dropped him for Cam Fowler, who I thought, okay, I'm going to get a power play 1 guy because he had been dropped and, it was a dumb move. I still won my matchup, thankfully, but definitely could have won by a little bit more if I just held on to Parayko, not wasted a move to swap him for Fowler. But anyways, Parayko was just sitting there in free agency. And yeah, with Krug injured, take the guy who's now going to get some extra power play time. That's exactly what happened today in this 5-4 loss to the Leafs in overtime. Parayko did get not as much power play time as Justin Falk, but Falk got 4 minutes and 15 seconds and Parayko was 3 minutes and 16 seconds. So it's not too far off. We know how St. Louis likes to split up those power plays. And they do have this guy Perunovich, who last year did get some top power play time, but he's injured also. So anyway, so all I'm saying is Parayko is going to be a power play defenseman on St. Louis, and we already know what he's good for, which is peripherals. Already had 2 blocks today, 4 hits. He played 28 minutes actually in this game, which is pretty crazy, and he even picked up an assist on a goal in the 3rd period from Jordan Kyrou, the tying goal, before William Nylander scored the OT winner. So I'm gonna, once again, maybe not as high as Gustafsson, but especially in a league that counts peripherals, I think you're gonna look at Colton Parayko right now with Krug injured. And since we're in St. Louis, let's take a quick look at the box score here. I don't have any co-hosts here to tell me, Elan, stay on track. I will point out Ryan O'Reilly scored a goal today, 5 shots. And he's someone who's been dropped in like so many leagues, right? And for good reason. He's had such a bummer of a season. But if you look at the lines today, O'Reilly wasn't playing with like Levo and Brandon Saad like he had been for the past few weeks. He was playing with Braden Shen and Pavel Buchnevich. So this I like. These are good line mates for Ryan O'Reilly. Maybe the coach realized, Berube, that like O'Reilly maybe needs a little help here. He's not going to be able to carry a line. Maybe that's why he's not having such a great season. So O'Reilly, good game today. He was also on one of the power plays, I guess the one with Pareko. So yeah, if O'Reilly's been dropped in your league, maybe now's the time to jump back on, and maybe he ends up being a hold. Norm's telling me in the chat to stay on track. Okay, I didn't. Well, okay, no, I appreciate it. Just kidding. Thanks, by the way, people, for being here. So okay, next injury here. Let's talk about Cam Atkinson over in Philly. He is out for the season, so that stinks. Bad news for him, and obviously that there's not much of a fantasy impact because Atkinson already hasn't been around for a while. But I just want to jump over to Philly quickly, just because they have been running a line of JVR, Owen Tippett, and Morgan Frost recently, and all 3 of them are looking pretty good. JVR, James Van Riemsdyk, with his 6 shots versus Carolina in the last game, he didn't get a point, but that still left him even a pointless game at 13 points in 15 games now on the year. So James Van Riemsdyk getting good deployment, top power play. So he's someone that I actually jumped on in my couple division, even though he only plays 2 times this week on Thursday and Saturday. I just had that hunch. You get that hunch sometimes, like this might be a hold, and I don't want to regret not having grabbed this guy when I could have, because I know James Van Riemsdyk for the past couple of years has been a bit of a bust, but it's actually not even true. That's what we think. Like just 2 seasons ago in 2020-21, he had 43 points in 56 games for like a 63-point pace. So it's not too long ago that he was fantasy relevant. And of course, we remember his times in Toronto where he was a big goal scorer. And it seems like Tortorella likes him. And also, he's been playing with, I'll just mention Owen Tippett, who, he's been doing pretty well. And Morgan Frost is someone who's available in like most leagues. And he's on a hot streak, 4 points in 4 games. So I just wanted to throw out there a line on Philly. Like, a lot of these guys may have been dropped because they only play Thursday, Saturday this week. But, now it's already Tuesday. By the time you're listening to this, it's going to be Wednesday. So all of a sudden, it's just 2 games in 3 days, which isn't too bad of a stream if you could fit him into your lineup, of course. So yeah, just wanted to mention these guys since I saw the news that Atkinson went out. But okay, let's move on to another injury here. Okay, so over in LA, they're actually playing right now, and Trevor Moore is hurt. I don't think we know the extent yet. Arthur Kaliev also was put on the injured reserve. So that led the Kings to call up our second overall pick from a couple years ago, Quinton Byfield, which is very exciting for some people who have him in their dynasty leagues. Obviously, we're still waiting for him to make an actual impact in the NHL, or at least I guess he's made a minor impact in terms of like helping the Kings last year, but not in terms of fantasy. The lines today have been Kopitar, Fiala, and Kempe, and then Phil Deneau centering Iafallo and Arvidsson. So I guess Iafallo gets that Trevor Moore spot. Though if you recall, Arvidsson actually had been bumped to the 3rd line already. So then you could kind of say that like Arvidsson is taking I don't even know the other spot. I don't even know what I'm saying. But anyways, I follow Arvidsson Deneau. That's the new line. That is the one that's supposed to be the mainstay that's on the ice a lot and good defensively. And anyways, that's leaving Byfield to play with Kupari and Brandon Lemieux. So he's getting like really, crummy deployment. And then Velarde with Lizotte and Jarrett Anderson Dolan. So yeah, when they lose a couple of guys, the depth looks a lot worse. Velarde actually has scored a goal though. So good for him. It's right now. Let me check this out here. Yeah, 1-1 after the first, with this goal scored by Velarde, assisted by Blake Lizotte. On the other side of the game, the Vegas Golden Knights have a power play goal from Michael Amadio. And you might think like, okay, so I guess the second power play got something. No, he gets assisted by Pietrangelo and Mark Stone. This Michael Amadio guy, all of a sudden, a guy who was healthy scratched earlier in the season, is getting primo deploymento, and he is taking advantage of it. So Amadio's also been playing at even strength with Stone and Chandler Stevenson. So he's in the Eichel spot, basically. And yeah, on the top power play with Stone, Stevenson, Riley Smith, and Alex Pietrangelo. So in your, you might be thinking this is only for super deep leagues, but in the short term, Michael Amadio might even be worth taking a look at in your like 10-team leagues or 12-team leagues, because not only is he getting good deployment, but dude is on a hot streak. 5 points in his last 4 games now after this goal today. And who knows, this game today, not even over yet. He's also been taking a decent number of shots. So you might need me to repeat this name again because people may not know who he is. Michael Amadio. He's 26 years old. Well, who is this guy? Okay, he started his career on the Kings, it looks like. Oh, he was in Ottawa for a bit. Does anyone remember the Michael Amadio stint on the Ottawa Senators? I sure don't. And then he went to, he was on Toronto also? What do you know? But now he's on the Vegas Golden Knights, and he's in a great spot. So you definitely want to take a look at him. What else should we talk about here? Oh, yeah, more injuries. Cole Perfetti is injured over in Winnipeg, and this is not good, right? They already have Wheeler out. Now Perfetti's out. Perfetti's out for a week, and the Jets got creamed today by Minnesota 4-1. Doesn't look like they made Philip Gustafsson work too hard. Actually, that's not true. 31 saves on 32 shots. So they tried their best, but they couldn't get anything past Gustafsson, who I was surprised, by the way. I thought that Fleury would get the start after the break. People who may not have noticed, here's an opportunity for me to just mention things. But on Game Day Tweets, the website I made that Shams helps retweet tweets. Well, Shams is the majority of the retweets. For lines, goalies, so you can just check everything you need to be up to speed on fantasy. So we added a new feature over the holidays where now we come up with little guesses of which goalie is going to play. So obviously once we have a tweet to show you for a specific game, which goalie is starting, then we'll show the tweet. But before we have a tweet, we might as well, all these other sites have these guesses, right? They don't even call it a guess. They call it like expected. It's like, well, according to what? I feel like that's too strong a word, but we're calling it a guess. And it's based on just us like storing who we think is the starter and the backup. Anyways, my guess was Fleury for today. I was wrong. It was Gustafsson. So that's something to watch. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. Cole Perfetti is injured. Winnipeg, all of a sudden, is really lacking in depth. If you look at the lines for today, I mean, it's one of these things where they just got creamed, so maybe the things will get shaken up. But yeah, if we wanted to look, when Frozen Tools doesn't load fast enough, that's like the worst thing in life. Come on. Oh, it's not even showing me. I love, for people watching live here, I love Frozen Tools, but every once in a while it does this. And it's like the one thing I need when I'm doing a show like this without having prepped a document in advance is for it to just show me my lines when I try to bring it up. But no, now it's just hanging. All right. Well, how's everyone doing? I haven't been able to watch the chat here because I'm just talking. I don't get my normal time while Brian's talking to keep up with what's going on. Andy's asking, all right, I'm not just hype. Connor Ingram really is about to win a goalie duel against. Yeah, so is it already, what's the score here now with Colorado and Arizona? By the way, I just added someone in my Dynasty League that I'm not going to bring up on this show. Man, my Frozen Tools tab is still, are any of you able to bring up today's lines with Winnipeg? Anyways, there's a guy on Arizona named Michael Carson, who is apparently leading the AHL in scoring going into today. And then he got called up now, I think, because Michelli is injured. And Carson just scored 3 shots, still minors eligible in a lot of dynasty leagues. It's only like his 27th or something NHL game, 2 hits. So yeah, I just grabbed him. Pretty excited about it. Okay. I don't know if I'm getting... Oh, is it back? Okay, we're back. Phew. All right. I had a point here. So what was I saying? Oh, yeah. Yeah, so the Jets depth isn't so good. In today's game, it looks like they just loaded up the top line. Scheifele, Dubois, and Kyle Connor played a lot of time together, leaving... Like, listen to these other lines then when you put these 3 together and when Wheeler and Perfetti are injured. We had Kuhlman, Stenlund, and Axel Johnson Fajalbi. And then Adam Lowry centered Jansen Harkins and Morgan Barron. And Sam Gagne centered Michael Asimont and David Gustafsson. So, yeah, that happened. So who here is surprised that Winnipeg wasn't able to beat the Minnesota Wild? I definitely am not. So anyway, okay, that is the news on Winnipeg. I don't even have like fantasy advice here. What am I going to say? Go grab, maybe if someone was playing with like Dubois and Connor, but even like it was like Kevin Stenlund or Carson Kuhlman were getting these spots. Was I really going to recommend them? No, but I'm giving you guys news here. So another piece of injury news, and then I'll go into a quick ad break here. In the Islanders, I was going to say in New York, then I thought, no, that's the New York Rangers. What do you say? In the island, which is not, okay, what am I doing here? I'm pulling a Dave Benton, just like kind of making jokes here. We got to be serious. Wallstrom is injured. That's all I wanted to say. And Oliver Wallstrom was playing on a line, I think with Barzal on the top line. But anyways, he's hurt now. He left in the middle of the game. So if we look at what the lines were for the rest of the game, Barzal was playing with Josh Bailey and someone named Hudson Fashing, who I think, took over for Yeah, he took over for Wallstrom, and I believe Fashing even had an assist today. I'm not going to really recommend him, and probably things will get shaken up. Also Anthony Beauvillier is in a really good spot in the lineup right now. He's playing with Brock Nelson and Anders Lee, and he was playing on the top power play, though I am actually seeing today that they did put Peugeot back there. So actually forget everything I said about Anthony Beauvillier over in our draft that we did over the weekend, the 50% or less rostered draft. I was thinking, oh, exciting for Beauvillier, and he had a big game. But yeah, nothing today. The big star of the day was definitely Matt Barzal. Scored a couple goals, redirected Hudson Fashing shot. I guess that was his assist. 5 shots for Barzal. I just traded for him recently. If you've been listening closely to Keeping Karlsson, I traded Trevor Zegras for Barzal. I asked Brian if he thought I should. He said yes, and I went ahead and did it. And ever since, Barzal's been scoring some goals for me. So definitely not complaining about that. 5 shots also today for a guy who generally isn't such a big shooter on the season. Barzal is averaging only 2.4 shots per game, but I'd love to see that get higher as the season goes on. Anyways, that's not really fantasy advice, but with that, I'm going to go to a break. Yeah. So hope you're enjoying this solo venture that's not as edited as normal, and I don't have anyone to banter with. If you're liking the show, I'd obviously be curious to hear your thoughts. So you could tweet at Keeping Karlsson, or let me know in the Discord, or I could probably be reading in the chat here. But I don't want to get distracted. So anyways, we're going to take a break. We're going to be back in just a sec. You're listening to Keeping Karlsson. All right, we are back, and I've gone through the injuries that I wanted to talk about. So the second half of the short shift is going to be talking about some streaks, and specifically streaks by guys on interesting lines. So I guess I already brought up Michael Amadio. I was going to bring him up after the break, but I guess when I was talking about LA, I brought him up there. So you cross him off, but he is still interesting as he was 10 minutes ago. Another guy on a good line that's doing well right now is Calle Jarnkrok over in Toronto. So he's been currently the one sidled up with John Tavares and not Nylander. Nylander has been playing with Bunting and Matthews, and Marner has been playing with Tavares, and the third has been Calle Jarnkrok. We've seen a few people in that spot. We saw Jason Robertson's brother, Nick. We saw Alex Kerfoot, but neither of those were able to do much, and neither of them were able to stick. But Calle Jarnkrok, I don't want to jinx it here because who knows, but it's looking like maybe this could stick because he's actually doing very, very well. He just had a huge game today in the win over St. Louis, 1 goal and 2 assists. I believe he also assisted on the overtime winner by Nylander. Is that true? Oh, no. 2 goals. Okay, so I stand corrected there. But yeah, Jarnkrok with a goal and 2 assists, like I said, all before the overtime. And so, yeah, I mean, before that, he also had a few other good games. He scored versus Philly right before the holidays. He had an assist versus Tampa Bay. Overall, I'm looking at 5 points in his last 3 games. But even if you take out a bigger sample, you see he had a 3-game point streak also at the end of November. So this is someone that's definitely interesting. Also on Yahoo, center, left wing, and right wing eligible. So you can fit him anywhere in any of your forward spots. So maybe Andy's saying here, press X to doubt on Jarnkrok sticking there. Maybe I'm being like too forward in saying that I think he's going to stick, but it's not like they have so many other great options, and we've seen what could happen with Kerfoot. So, and Calle Jarnkrok is someone, by the way, who I know Brian's really liked on the show in the past. When he was on Nashville, there were like little stretches where we would bring him up as fantasy relevant. He was like a 45-ish point guy for a couple of seasons before he got moved. So it's not as if he was like a total nobody. And yeah, other players have gone from being 40-ish point guys to, being 60-point guys when they get on a really good line. And that's the case right now with Calle Jarnkrok. So definitely interesting, someone you should look at. Let's go now to Detroit. We've got a guy named Michael Rasmussen, who's currently been skating on the top line for a couple games, and including in today's practice. 1 minute, everybody. Definitely hard when I'm not able to take any drink breaks here. Probably should have muted myself while I was drinking. I don't know if that's such a pleasant sound. Just hear someone like chugging water. I'm just gonna start that Detroit part over again. All right, next up, I want to go to Detroit, where we got some news. First of all, Jakub Vrana is going on a conditioning sprint. Jakub Vrana is going on a conditioning stint over in Grand Rapids. So it's going to be another week probably until he joins the team, but that's exciting. In the meantime, Michael Rasmussen has been on the top line with Dylan Larkin and David Perron And he's coming off a huge game, right before the holidays, where he had 2 goals and 2 assists versus Tampa. So that was a really nice taste for him to leave in our mouths. It was a 7-4 big win for Detroit over the, I was about to say defending Stanley Cup champ, defending an Eastern Conference champion. So now Rasmussen's obviously going to hold this spot, at least for the next game, since we saw that in today's practice. Also, he had 80% of the power play time in that game. So he's been getting top line, top power play. This is Michael Amadio. It's the day of the Michaels, right? Rasmussen and Amadio. Who would I rather have? That's a good question. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. But Rasmussen is the one of these playing Wednesday. So if you want to add someone and then think about it later, get the extra game from Michael Rasmussen from the Red Wings. So yeah, he's definitely someone I would take a look at. Overall in the season, he has 15 points in 30 games now after that big game. So only a 41-point pace, but it's a big difference if you're playing with Larkin versus not playing with Larkin. Oh no, sorry everyone. My voice is like giving out here. Okay. This is like a skill. I think this is something you'd have to practice to become good at and to be able to do without having to take lots of breaks. I guess good thing I'm not on the radio, because then you can't edit it after. But I can't edit this video. Where was I? Oh yeah, Detroit. I think I finished. So that's good. And then And then moving on from the Michaels, but going to another M name that's hot right now, I wanted to talk about Mason McTavish over on Anaheim. Now, you may be thinking, oh, I don't want you to recommend to me guys who only played 2 times this week. But okay, yeah, I know I talked about JVR, and now I'm going to talk about Mason McTavish, because even though Anaheim only plays Wednesday, Friday of this week, if you're listening to this on Wednesday morning, and probably everyone was like dropping their ducks because they saw they had a bad schedule, guess what? Right now, it's Wednesday. So you can add McTavish today. You can get him Wednesday, Friday, and then you could either drop him for the weekend or you can hold, because next week, Anaheim plays all light days. It's the classic Anaheim schedule: Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. It's a streamagami. So if you're, get into the weekend and you have a good Anaheim player and it looks like your matchup is set one way or the other, you're either going to win or you're going to lose, and it's already pretty clear, maybe it's fine to just hold your Anaheim guy. And Mason McTavish is someone who is currently on a nice run, right? He has 6 points in his last 5 games. He scored in his last couple of games going into the holidays. And remember, this is a 19-year-old who was drafted 3rd overall a couple drafts ago. Huge pedigree. And yeah, he didn't start the season as hot as some people were hoping for. Well, actually, he did. He started the season with 2 assists in the first game, had 4 points after 5 games. But after that, he really slowed down. And a lot of people thought maybe he'd be a Calder candidate, and he kind of fell out of that conversation. But it takes some time to get adjusted to the NHL. And it looks like he's really clicking. He's still not playing on the most amazing line at even strength. He's been playing with Leeson and Frank Vetrano, though there was like one shift in the last game where he was playing with Zegras and Terry. So imagine if that ever sticks. But he is on the top power play, Mason McTavish, with Zegras, Terry, Henrique, and still currently Cam Fowler. I wonder if at some point Klingberg gets the top power play back, since Fowler hasn't been doing much lately. So anyways, in one of my leagues, I streamed in Mason McTavish specifically to get Wednesday, Friday. And the plan is, like I said, if the matchup is close or he doesn't do anything, we'll just drop him after Friday. No big deal. But if he does well, who knows? He's a hold at least for next week for those 4 games, and then I'll reassess after that. All right, off the air. That's actually everything I had planned. Does anyone have... Oh, here, I've got a question. I was just going to say, does anyone have another question? People... Yes, if anyone wants to throw me any questions to discuss. So now, I'll look at Adam's question here. Immature, what sort of value do you place on Andre Palat? Oh, good question. Okay. All right, so at this point, I guess I'm going to start wrapping this baby up, but I'll take a couple of questions here from the chat if people have any. I just posted this. By the way, if you want to get into this chat, you're like, how did people find this chat? It's for the patrons of Keeping Karlsson. If you support the podcast, we give you everything we have, right? And including access to our patron-only Discord, which is just an amazing community where we all hang out, help each other out, have a lot of fun. And if I come up with an idea that I want to do a last minute show, I'll of course post to the patrons, hey, come join me, I'm doing a show, and they watch live. And then Adam here has a question for us. He just asked, with his imminent return, what sort of value do you place on Andre Palat? Will he play with Jack Hughes, Bratt, Hischier, or other? So unfortunately, I don't know the exact answer, but we know going into the season that the plan was for Palat to play in the top 6. And if you look at the New Jersey lines today, I'm just going over to gamedaytweets.com, clicking on New Jersey. Amanda Stein always has those tweets where she writes out the line combinations. And I'm seeing here that today was Tatar practicing with Heeshear and Zetterland. So that was one line. Heeshear, I should say Heeshear playing with Tatar and Zetterland because Heeshear's the glue there. And then Hughes playing with Howla and Brat. So definitely we see a couple spots here. Howla, Zetterland, easily Palat could bump one of those guys, even Tatar. Tatar lately has been playing on the top power play. He's actually an interesting streamer for this week. New Jersey plays 3 times, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. So all off days. So he's someone I'd look at in the very short term if he's holding that top power play. Dave mentioned him on the stream scheme as someone to take a look at. Hope you listened to that fun show that he made. But yeah, definitely there's room for Palat in the top 6, I think is the answer here. And what sort of value do I place on him? I mean, not that high, right? Like, I feel like it's not as if Eric Howla is doing so amazing, even though he's playing with Hughes and Bratt. Like, he's interesting, sure, but nothing. Even Tatar, he's had some ups and downs. Zetterland, so it's like it's kind of looking to me like, and also he's been hurt a little bit. Also, like there is some sample size of Palat over here in New Jersey. If I bring up what he did at the start of the year for however many games, he only played 6 games. He had 3 goals in 6 games. No assists, but like those 3 goals came on 8 shots, so obviously not very sustainable. He's going to hopefully have to shoot more. He was only taking 1.3 shots per game. Anyway, that said, I'll be honest, I'm not too excited about Palat. I had him in IR available to me in one of my leagues, and I had a free ad I was able to make, and I grabbed Nicholas Backstrom over him. And I think if I didn't take Backstrom, I was going to take Anthony Duclair to fill that IR spot. So Palat, yeah, I don't know. Schwab Squad mentioned here. I just mentioned Sam Steele keeps rolling. Yeah, I'm going to take a little bit of credit here, okay? Just because I did that show with Mason and PJ and Dave. I hope people enjoyed that right before the holidays. This like buy low, sell high mega show. And someone brought up how Ryan Hartman is a good buy low right now because he's like for sure going to come back to Minnesota and take that top line. And I right away was like, I don't think so. Like things are going good with Sam Steele. Yeah, Sam Steele just keeps on rolling today in this win over Winnipeg. Another couple of assists. What does that bring him to? Let me just bring this up here in terms of his current streak. Sam Steele is currently sitting at, don't do this to me, Frozen Tools. Oh my God. Is it just, maybe I have to clear my cache like people were saying. I go to, other websites that I use don't make me clear my cache in order to use them, but I could be done this show by now. Sam Steele. Wow. Okay. I do have a million tabs open. Maybe does Frozen Tools know that I have so many of their tabs open and they're like, you have enough? Jeez. If I go to another site, where else can I go to find out how Sam Steele is doing? I'm so used to just using this site. I'm going to go to Fantrax. I lose my train of thought. It's very annoying. Sorry, everybody. Sorry for losing my cool. Yeah, I got him here. So now what was I saying? I got to put this back into a sentence. Yeah, Sam Steele, another another couple of another couple 2 assists today for Steele versus Winnipeg. And yeah, before that, he had a couple of games with no points. But then before that, he had a 3-game point streak, including a couple of multi-point games in that stretch. So Sam Steele, like, yeah, if you want assists and potentially 2 assists in a game, he's been pretty good for you. I think he's going to hold this spot centering the top line for as long as Minnesota keeps rolling and maybe just for the rest of the season. So he's never going to be someone who's going to like, win you tons of matchups just because, he's not giving you much outside of those assists. He doesn't score very much. He doesn't shoot very much. He's not a hitter. But if you want some empty calorie assists, it looks like Steele's going to be a pretty reliable source if he's going to be playing with Kaprizov and Zuccarello. So yeah, keeps on rolling and good for him. I guess with that, this is called Short Shifts for a reason. So I probably need to wrap this baby up. But thanks everyone for joining me live in the chat here for this experiment. And thanks to everyone who listened to this episode. Like I said before, let me know if you like this kind of thing. Maybe anytime Ben and Lewis aren't able to do a show, or maybe anytime I just happen to have a bunch of players in my head who I want to talk about and I have no one to talk to, maybe I can just dump it all here. And, you could take, maybe it doesn't always have to be a conversation. I don't know. You tell me. Or you might be like, Elan, this was terrible. Please next time find some co-hosts that you can bounce these questions off of so I don't have to hear your voice over and over again. But anyways, that's it for me. I'm going to head out. Have a great night, everyone. And until what do we say again? Until next time, keep your head down and keep your shifts short. All right. That was fun. I had a few technical issues. Well, I had a few like physical issues, and then I had technical issues. But what are you gonna do? I think in the end, after I edit it, it's gonna be fine. But yeah, I really appreciate the kind words here. Thanks very much. Maybe I'll do this more often. I don't know. It is kind of fun. Just talk. I was actually sad when my list of players ran out. I thought that I had like prepped like a big long list, but I guess it goes by a lot quicker when you're not talking to someone. I feel like if I had that same list of players and I was doing the show with someone else, that would have been like a 1 hour episode. Keep your head down is a bad idea. Okay, let me try this again. What is the actual saying that they say? They say, keep your head up and your shift's short. What does Lewis say? I listen to this show like 2 times a week and I have no idea. Maybe I'll just go find an episode. Okay, I'm just gonna go find one quickly. I want to end properly, right? I gotta do them justice. Okay, let's find here. Short shifts, December 20th. Keep your stick on the ice. I don't think it's keep your stick on the ice. I mean, I know that's the Andy's saying read the chat. Who said, did someone say it in the chat? All right. I am reading the chat. Okay. I'm listening now. So Yahoo Frozen Tools Natural Static. Pat Roach. John Reed is our digital media producer. Play smart. Play smart. Play smart. That's it. Play smart and keep your shifts short. Okay. Let me end this again. So yeah, this was a lot of fun. I don't know. I forget what I was saying now. I'm trying to think of like how maybe I'll just do this whole thing. I'll do the whole thing over again. All right, well, that's everything I have for today. This has been so much fun. Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining me here and giving me some suggestions, things to talk about and keeping me entertained. And thanks everyone for listening. I definitely would love to hear what you think about this little experiment and whether it's something I should consider doing again in the future, just talking to myself like a crazy person. But yeah, there's, fantasy hockey is so fun. And there's like every day we get more news like this. So it's fun to go through it. But anyways, I'm done for now. Definitely stay subscribed to Keeping Karlsson for more shows. I don't know what else is happening this week, but there will definitely be a mega show with Brian and I this Sunday at the very least. So until then, everyone have a great week. Happy New Year. Play smart. Keep your shifts short. It is really funny how like we all listen to this show and it's a good catchphrase, but for some reason it's just hard to remember the exact words. But okay. Thanks. See you all. Have a good night. Hope you did well.